My mother abandoned me for fame, so I made her regret it. My name is Olivia. I'm 19 years old. I grew up in a normal home. As the oldest of three, I had a brother and a sister, Kaden and Amy. My parents were honest, hard-working people. My mother was a nurse, while my father was an archaeologist. As I grew up, I found myself following my father's footsteps, fascinated by the artifacts and research trips he would do in China. It became our special way of bonding, and he promised that once I graduated high school, we'd go on a trip together. But that all changed on my 16th birthday. I was in the midst of blowing out my candles when there was a loud knock on the door. My brother opened it and became speechless, and no matter what my parents asked him, he remained silent. When we went to see for ourselves, we were stunned. Standing at our doorstep was Mercedes Watts. She was the world's biggest actress, starring in all my favorite movies, with millions of social media followers. Everything she wore sold out in minutes. Even though she was disguised in a trench coat and sunglasses, her beauty was instantly recognizable. As excited as I was to see her, I was confused. What was she doing at our house? We lived in a dreary, rainy town, and she had a multi-million-dollar house in Malibu. But before I could even ask her what she was doing, she smiled at me. "My daughter, I have returned for you," she murmured in a sweet voice, looking down at me. I was too shocked to react. Be emotional when needed. My mother stormed in, her face furious. "What are you doing here?" she snapped angrily, pulling me back. "We agreed on meeting when she was 18. She's only 16. Mercedes simply shrugged, completely unfazed. "I've changed my mind. A girl needs to know her mother, and I can't keep this secret away from her. Olivia, sweetheart, I'm your real mom." I felt like the ground had been pulled out from under me. Me? Mercedes Watts' daughter? It seemed too good to be true. But at the same time, I could believe it. I noticed that I had looked a little different from everyone else, especially considering that I lacked mom's unruly curls and dad's need for glasses. It always left me feeling a bit left out, not sharing anything with either of them. But having a mother, who I not only looked incredibly similar to, but who wanted me filled me with joy. My parents had sent us to the other room, but we could still hear them arguing. Eventually, they let me back in and gave me a choice. I could spend 3 days with Mercedes to see if I wanted to live with her permanently, or I could stay with them. Before they could even finish, I chose Mercedes. And before you judge me, come on. 3 days with a rich and famous mom? It was like a movie. Mercedes wasted no time, practically dragging me out of the house into a sleek convertible waiting outside. I was still processing everything as she sped through every red light toward the airport. "If you're impressed now, just wait, my sweet girl," she said, patting my head. At the airport, bypassed security and were immediately whisked onto a private jet. I sank into the softest leather seats, eating caviar on crackers and sipping the finest sparkling juice. As we flew, Mercedes told me her story. How she and my mother had been friends in nursing school. When she got pregnant with me, she couldn't handle the responsibility and begged my parents to take me in. Struggling financially, she moved to Malibu, working long hours at diners, until a talent agent discovered her. From there, she skyrocketed to fame. But despite all these years, she still missed me. I felt sorry for her. She had suffered so much, missed me all these years. So, I made it my mission to make these 3 days the best of her life. But things didn't go how I expected. When we landed in Malibu, I had to hide behind a wall of security while Mercedes posed for the paparazzi. She told me it was to appease the press. I crouched there for almost an hour before we finally got into a car, where I had to keep hiding in the back seat until we were far enough away from the left. Airport. My back and neck ached, but Mercedes brushed it off. To apologize, she bought me a brand new iPhone and promised that soon the world would know about me. At first, everything was amazing. We stayed in a luxurious hotel, ordered 5-star meals, and got the best massages known to man. She even rented out an entire mall so we could shop without anyone seeing me. But by the second day, I realized something was off. I wanted to spend time with Mercedes, but she left early, claiming she had work. I waited all morning, bored out of my mind. When she returned, she brought a team of stylists whose job was to turn me into a mini Mercedes. I hesitated, but she looked so excited that I agreed. Hours later, I looked almost identical to her. Matching extensions, heavy makeup, everything. But Mercedes wasn't satisfied. She frowned at my face, pointing out my slightly crooked nose. "You got that from your rotten father," she muttered. "It doesn't match." She joked about knowing a surgeon who could fix it in an hour. But from the way she said it, I could tell she wasn't really joking. That night, I wanted to call my parents, but she refused. Instead, she brought in private tutors, experts in singing, acting, and dancing. She expected me to master everything immediately. Feeling suffocated, I stepped outside to take a breath. That's when I overheard Mercedes talking. She wasn't talking about me with love. She was complaining. She whined about how annoying I was. How, if I didn't learn fast enough, she would never introduce me to the public. She didn't want people to know she had an ugly daughter, and that reality TV shows didn't get popular with ugly people. At that moment, I realized the truth. Mercedes didn't want me because she missed me. She wanted me for a reality TV show deal. She wanted a paycheck, not a daughter. She didn't care for me like my real parents did. And I was foolish for wanting to change them for a vapid actress. Without hesitating, I slipped out of the hotel, hailed a cab to the airport, and booked the fastest flight home. It was economy class, and I was sandwiched between two old men who smelled like onions, but I had never been happier. Once I landed back home, I turned on my phone and saw all those missed calls from Mercedes, and her texts were getting nastier by the minute. I didn't bother to read any of them and simply blocked her as I called a car back home. When I got home, I ran straight into my parents' arms, sobbing, begging for forgiveness. That's when my mom told me the full story. Mercedes hadn't been a struggling waitress. She had been a spoiled rich girl, the daughter of a real estate mogul. She partied instead of studying, flunked out of school, and abandoned me without a second thought, leaving only a note that said, "I don't want to be a mother. Do what you want with the little brat." So my mom decided to raise me, with the help of my dad, who she was only dating at the time. They struggled, but they managed to make it work. I was in tears once my mother finished, amazed at her bravery and strength, raising a baby that wasn't hers while juggling nursing school, and grew to love her and Dad even more, grateful for all the sacrifices they had done for me. Years later, I'm finishing my archaeology degree and preparing for my first excavation trip abroad. And as for Mercedes, I just happened to be recording as she went on her little rant and posted it online for the world to see. Overnight, her fame crumbled. She's worked her way back up, but she'll never be the untouchable star she once was. Family isn't about blood, it's about love, sacrifice, and who truly stands by your side.